He is the storm, you are the peace that must come after it. Tell me, do you believe in the fates, alchemist? And today, Jen and I are talking about Quicksilver and Brimstone by Callie Hart, which were my top reads last year. And I'm so thankful that Jen finally decided to give it a shot.
Not that I didn't want to read them, it's just I didn't want to start another unfinished series.
Okay, I'll give
And
you
yet,
that.
here we are.
Yeah, well, book 3 comes out in the fall, so I'm
Yeah,
very
I made a
excited.
concession.
But before I guess as we get into the synopsises of the books, I also feel like I just kind of with those other, like the endings weren't like catastrophic cliffhangers, so I felt like it was okay to read them. Or maybe that's just
Yeah,
me.
agreed. They
I didn't
weren't.
I didn't feel
No,
like
no, I agree. I feel like the cliffhangers were enough to it makes you want to keep reading, but they weren't like heartbreaking or anything.
yeah. So, synopsis for book 1. So I'm gonna be honest. I only knew her name is Osha, and then we were looking for quotes, and then I saw her name, which is Sarah Swain. So that's the only reason why I remember Sarah Swain. Okay, otherwise I would have been calling her Osha. So Sarah Swain is a human in this world that I'm just gonna say has districts or zones, and her zone is known for people being sick or having some kind of sickness or illness. I'm not sure. Anyways, it opens up with her trying to steal something from a different zone because you're not allowed to cross the zones. And she ends up stealing a glove made of gold, a metal glove made of gold from one of the queen's guards. And she steals it and she ends up running back to her zone. And then you find out that she has a brother and that her brother's getting in trouble at the bar. Is that what we're going to call it? The local
Mm-hmm.
tavern. There we go. And in this tavern, while she's trying to help her brother, she has him hold the bag that has the glove. And she's like, don't open it. Don't go nowhere. But in the tavern, we meet Carrion. Carrion Swift is one of my favorite characters in this series. I love him so much. And you learn that Carrion and Osha have a history. And he's not stupid. He knows that she stole something because rumors have spread. And he's like, I'm hoping that whoever did this did not bring it here because it will bring trouble to our zone. And they get to chit-chatting about potentially, in hypotheticals, how to hide the glove. Then she goes out to try and get it because they're going to go hide it, and her brother's missing. And then when she finally tracks her brother down, he is surrounded by the guards. And they know that he has the glove. I can't remember. You'll have to tell me if I say this part wrong. They are arguing over Osha and her brother, I can't remember his name, are arguing over who's responsible for stealing it. And she finally gets him to leave, and then she battles the guards, and she's actually a very good fighter. And she actually ends up killing one of them, I think, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
She ends up killing
Yeah.
one of them, and she ends up getting arrested and going to the castle. What am I trying to? So her and her brother have been on their own for quite some time since her mom was killed by the guards, I think. They sort of have no, she wasn't killed by the guards. I thought she was.
No, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. No, she was.
They sort of have like a family friend or somebody who was a friend of her mom's that kind of like looks over them. He's the blacksmith of their zone, and so she has learned things from him because she is also a blacksmith, so to speak. But she tells her brother, like, go to him, he'll protect you. She gets arrested, goes to the zone where the queen is. The queen is batshit crazy. And if I remember correctly, you might have to. Do they learn about the prophecy then and there, or she learns about the prophecy later? Because there's a reason why there's another reason besides the glove, right? That they arrest her and killing the guard, or no? No, you're right. Okay, you're right. No. So she gets arrested. She goes there. The guard that wants to take her to the queen is evil and horrible. And the queen has a conversation with her and she's like, I can't let you cause dissent or whatever, and leaves her alone with the guard, and the guard is going to kill her. Well, they're in some room. I don't know if it's the throne room or not, but there is a sword there that has essentially been like calling to her because she's a blacksmith. One of the things that you learn is that metal calls to her, like she has some kind of like connection with it. And in the battle with the guard, she grabs the sword, and because of this special connection that she has with metal, grabbing the sword or pulling the sword out opens up a portal. I don't know if portal's the right word, but that's what we're going to call it. Opens up a portal, and out comes this, she calls him a demon or death. Out comes this dude, and he fights the guard, sees that she's gravely injured, puts what does he put on her?
Relic.
A relic on her so that she can travel through the portal because she's human, to take her back to a different realm. And I feel like I'm explaining this really bad for something that I really love. I think I noticed that the more I love something, the harder it is for me to explain the book without making it sound ridiculous. So she ends up in this other world. Let me preface by saying this is not a love triangle because I thought Carrion was originally Kingfisher. I knew that Kingfisher was the main male character only because I had heard things about the series. I didn't actually know who he was. And I thought maybe Kingfisher was his like bad guy name or like vigilante name. I didn't realize that it was two separate people until Kingfisher came through the portal and like rescued Osha and then took her back. So I want to give the preface that it's not a love triangle because I was going to be very upset if it was a love triangle because I knew the main female character only ended up with one male. So he takes her back, heals her. You start to learn about this world that if memory serves correctly, he's actually supposed to be the king, but he's not because his biological father was killed and his mom was forced to marry somebody else, and that's who's the king. And Kingfisher, and Kingfisher has a sister, but Kingfisher has been, I don't know if banished is the right word. He's not supposed to be in that city. He's supposed to be on the front lines because he essentially is not the general. Ren is the general, but he like fights. I mean, he's a prince, essentially.
I think Bellicon, which is the king of the Fae, knew that Fisher was supposed to be in the maze still. That's why he wasn't supposed to be in the city. Because it wasn't until he left the maze to get Ceres.
Okay. I forgot about the maze. I'm so glad you brought the maze up. That's book 2. Okay, so something happens. A bargain is struck that Kingfisher has to do something with with Osha. And then because Kingfisher and them are Fae, he makes a bargain with Osha without her realizing the consequences that she has to obey his every word, which was a dick move on his part. I was so pissed off about that. And he's like, we have to leave. And so they leave. She didn't want to leave, but she has to leave. Well, what we find out on this journey of when she is at the Fae Castle and then leaving with Kingfisher to go to where his people are, his army, that they believe that Osha is an alchemist, which means that she can wield metal. And this is something that they need because nobody has been able to mend or control Quicksilver in a very long time. And that is the main metal, if I'm not mistaken. hence the title of the book. They go on a journey, lots of bantering, lots of sexual tension. They get to where his people are. His people are, oh my gosh, you've been gone for 150 years or however long. They're mad. You don't learn until book 2 that he didn't leave willingly. He struck a bargain to save their lives in one of the battles that they had. And that was for him to be captured and then placed in the maze that you learn about in book 2. But he doesn't tell them that. He's like, I'm back, like, just deal with it. And Ren, I think, might have been the only one who was aware of it, of where he was.
I think it was Ren. I think it was Ren and Danya.
No, because
Danya.
she was
That were
pissed.
no, Dan. You're right. No, you're right. She didn't know. There was one other
Lauren?
person that knew. It was Ren and
Is his name
Lorif, maybe?
Lorif. Yeah.
It may have been Ren and Lorif. I know Ren for sure knew. I don't remember who the second person was for sure.
And so, as a human in the Fae world, she doesn't know a lot of the customs. And so one of the things, she talks back quite a bit. She's got a mouth on her, which I really appreciate. She actually, at dinner one time, sits in a seat that is that's meant for the lady of the house, which is supposed to be Kingfisher's mate. And there's this running thing going on. She doesn't know what it is yet until I think Danya tells her, right? Out of anger about you don't deserve to sit here. Anywho,
Yeah, I think so.
She makes a second bargain with Kingfisher about she will make enough relics for his people to be able to jump through the portals because the sickness is spreading and they need to find it and they need to stop it. Well, she doesn't realize that they're talking about hundreds of people. And so in book 1 is essentially her trying to figure out how to mend Quicksilver because Quicksilver has a mind of its own. Like literally, it's like a sentient being, right? Like a sentient metal. And so she's having to navigate this world of being a human in a Fae world, all of the things happening, battles, and then also training to become an alchemist. That takes up, I think, about a good chunk of the book. In the midst of all this, she makes part of the bargain that she makes with Kingfisher is that he has to go and get her brother from her realm. So when they find out that there is a portal that they can use, I can't remember which portal it is. Is it the portal under... They go through the portal twice, don't they? Or once? I think just once. Kingfisher goes and he thinks that he gets her brother. He does not capture her brother. When he comes back, he has actually captured Carrion Swift. She's like, that's not my brother. He's like, well, he smells like you. And she's like, no. Because Carrion Swift and Osha had relations. So he still has to honor his deal of getting her brother. Carrion being there just adds to the banter and the mischief. And I don't remember how book 1 ends. Oh, I think book ends one where they have a battle and she dies and they bring her back. Right? That's how book 1 ends. Yeah. They bring her back as a vampire.
Pretty sure.
So she's a tri-hybrid. She's half human, half fae, half vampire.
No. Once she was officially like saved by the gods, they turned her half fae, half vampire. She doesn't have any human qualities anymore.
Are we sure?
I mean, she was...
Or was she fully human and then just became vampire, so now she's half human, half vampire?
No, it mentions a few times that she's half fae, half vampire.
Okay.
It doesn't mention anything about her human side once she visits the gods.
Okay. I don't remember. I think her turning into a vampire is the only thing I hate about this whole series. And that's only because
I have a feeling it's gonna play into the third book.
Yeah, but we know I don't like vampires, so vampires are my least favorite. So then book 2 is essentially her, now that she is a vampire and they kill the main vampire dude, you find out that the queen from her realm, Kingfisher's stepdad, and then the vampire dude are actually all three siblings. And for the last how many hundreds of years or whatever, have been planning this sickness that's taking over the universes because they want to be like the ultimate power, the three of them. And the only reason why the Fey realm was cut off from the human realm is because Kingfisher's stepdad and the queen from Osha's world are siblings, and they got into a sibling tiff, and she cut off access because she was mad. So in the second book, they end up killing the vampire king. I'm just calling him the vampire king because I don't know what his name is or what his real title is, and that makes her the queen. And so the second book is essentially them being in the land of the vampire king, learning those politics, her also still trying to do the alchemy. She has figured out how to do the alchemy, and I forget what happens. Battling his stepdad, finding what Kingfisher's real name is, and I'm really summarizing this book horribly. And then they have to go on another quest for something. In the mix of all this, obviously there's chemistry and banter between Osha and Kingfisher. Osha is the nickname that Kingfisher gives her like almost instantaneously, and he explains, that it's part of being most sacred and about the butterflies, and that people sacrifice themselves to make these butterflies be able to live for like a single day. In book 1, when she first goes to the blacksmith's lair or whatever, she saves a fox, which she ends up naming Onyx. This like becomes her familiar. It's her her companion throughout the whole series. He's adorable. Everybody loves him. Onyx is my second favorite character. You also learn things about Kingfisher's mom. So I don't know if you would call her like a psychic, but apparently she had visions of whose Kingfisher's mate was going to be, and it was her. So that's how he knew from the beginning who she was. And even though he was kind of a little bit of an asshole, he did everything that he could to protect her because he knew that was his mate. You learn that the gods knew that Kingfisher and Osha were supposed to be mates, and because they were going to be so powerful, or the destruction of something because they were so powerful of their love, that they decided to split them. So Kingfisher is Fae. She was born or reborn as human to separate them. But, you can't fight destiny, so to speak. And they end up together. Osha gets a message from Kingfisher's mom, who has been passed away for a very long time, because she left a secret message embedded into her daughter's subconscious. If I remember correctly, I don't remember what the message is, but it's supposed to help her figure out things and I guess stop the illness. When they're in the vampire land, they find a third. There's another person there that was part of Kingfisher's company, so to speak, that ended up getting turned, and they kind of like bridged that relationship. And you mentioned the Braxis. Is that the tree that's in the courtroom?
Azrax?
Yes. Is that who you mentioned? When you asked, you sent me.
What, when I felt like the Hazrax was the new Suriel?
Yes. That's what you were talking about,
Yeah,
right? The tree in the court that just watches
I
everything.
don't picture him as a tree
Oh,
though.
I picture him
But
as
I
a
mean, we all
tree.
picture.
Don't ask me why I picture him as a tree, but I picture him.
No, I actually picture him like a. I picture him similar to the Suriel, except mm, his face is more described. Like I can see a face more clearly, but I don't.
Okay. I'm definitely going to have to re-listen to these books. Anywho, I can't remember what happens, but the person who turned Osha into a vampire is essentially like her warden.
Maker
And
or maker.
Maker, yeah. And he works with one of the witches to turn all of the vampires back to human or back to fae, like restore them. And there's a lot of subplots happening. I don't remember what happens, but something happens. There's a battle and Ren goes off somewhere and he disappears and nobody can find him. Like they can't scry for him. They're hopeful that he's not dead because unfortunately the company have a vow to the king that they have to come to arms when called. And so they are afraid that Ren's been captured. Well, somehow Kingfisher gets captured by his stepfather. There's this whole thing to where he's being eaten by a tree. Osha learns his real name, breaks him of his vow of the kingdom, and breaks it to where nobody can use his real name against him because those who know Fae lore, if you know somebody's real name, you have power over them. She does that because the tree dude gave her a powerful relic or a powerful tattoo to be able to do that. And then they end up going to this place that is protected. It's warded, which is why they couldn't find Ren because that's where Ren is at. And I can't remember why they have to go on their quest, but they go on their quest to Brimstone because Brimstone apparently is the next thing that they need to be able to stop the disease, I guess, or the illness. And they go somewhere, and then the end of book 2, there are dragons in the Brimstone where the Brimstone is. And he's like, "Hello, father." And then the book ends. That was a horrible, horrible summary. Please do not listen to the summary. Just go listen to the book, okay? Oh my gosh, that's so bad. Oh, maybe you should have did the summary, Jen. That was horrible. Okay, what are your thoughts, Jen?
I mean, I really enjoyed them. And I really like Kingfisher. I fucking love Ceres.
Mm-hmm.
I think she really hits like all of the points for what we look for in a strong female character. I didn't feel like there was any point where she made like a stupid decision or a
Mm-hmm.
rash decision. You know, she consistently, from literally the moment you meet her until where we're at the end of book 2, she listens to her gut and intuition better than I think any other main female character I've read does. Like there isn't, I don't think we've read a character, at least I don't feel like I've read a character that is so sure of herself. And I think it makes it plausible because she had to be for so many years in Ward 3. Like she only had herself to rely on. She only had her instincts to rely on. So by the time she's going on this quest, she already had years of evidence, but by trusting her gut, she's managed to keep her and her brother Hayden alive. So I really like the way that Callie set her up to be a strong female character from the jump. And she received that knowledge, experience, and being able to trust herself through the years in the ward. So that was probably one of my favorite things about the book is just how strong of a character she is. I love the cast of characters. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Agreed.
think of one character that I do not enjoy. Like even Danya with her bullshit. Like she's such a bitch,
Mm-hmm.
but she adds this like you almost can't hate her for it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
want to hate her because she's just so mean. But at the same token, like you're just like, you know what? I hear what you're saying. You're not doing this well. You're not handling this well at all. But we'll give you a pass for some reason. I don't know. She's probably your least likable character, and I still really like her in her own way. I think the only part of the book, and this is probably going to shock anyone who knows me, the only part of the book that I'm really curious how it's going to play out in the third book and what that's going to look like is how she brought Onyx back to life. Because she took this incredible gift and completely used it for a 100% selfish reason. And the Hazraks made a really good argument at the time. He's like, if you do this, you're not going to be able to undo the oath your friends took. And I'm very, very curious to see how Callie wraps that bow because you know it's going to impact the rest of the story. You know that like there is going to be a consequence, I feel like, for that action. And I'm willing to withhold judgment on it right now. But my initial like gut reaction is like, girl, listen, I would do the same thing because that's who I am as a person. And I love that this is you as a person, but also that feels real dumb. So honestly, like that piece of it, and then her absolute disdain for the Hazraks, those two things are like my biggest question marks because to me, I like the Hazraks.
I do too.
I don't, he does not, to me, like he doesn't, the way Saris describes him and like he gives off this, you know, negative energy, you don't really understand the power, like I'm not seeing that as a bad thing the way Saris is right now. Like I feel like the Hazraks is he watched Malcolm, who was the previous vampire ruler. He watched Malcolm for millennium, however long it was, and that court is known to be very bloodthirsty, obviously. No pun intended. That was funny. I can't laugh though. You know, they're cruel. They are all about basically sucking the life out of everyone and creating this like vampire world. So he's watched this. There's no love. There's no like sacrifice. Malcolm manipulates everyone in his court, et cetera, et cetera. Well, so when Saris takes over the vampire court, the Hazraks makes the same deal that he is able to observe Saris anytime he wants. Now, you don't realize that that was the deal completely until probably like 75% into book 2, because he actually ends up coming into like a dream of hers. And that's when you find out like he can observe her whenever he feels like, wherever he feels like. And I think the scene with Onyx will play a pivotal part in how Hazrax interacts with this group as they continue into book 3, because for the first time that you know of, he's seen somebody sacrifice this incredible gift he feels like he's given her over a fox. And I think her answer to his question about like what does it feel when you lose someone, I think all of that is going to come into play in the long run. My guess is the Hazraks will either bring someone back, break the oaths of everyone, sacrifice itself to save somebody else, because now he knows what love is like. Like that's the trajectory. I'm assuming it's going to go there. But I think it was the first time we met Hazrax where I was like,
he's important.
You want us to think he's bad.
Yeah.
But he's not bad. Or at least he's not.
He's neutral.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you will see him tip the scales in a positive light in book 3. That's my theory.
I liked him. I didn't have a problem with him. I think she has a problem with him because he's from the vampire court, and she's just
Mm-hmm.
automatically, you've watched Malcolm and you've never done anything to help nobody. Well, kind of like what you're saying,
Yeah.
he's never been curious or inspired. You've come, you're
Mm-hmm.
this human who's now fae, half vampire, and you're changing everything up and you reverse everybody from being a vampire. He's like, okay. And maybe he knew all along. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is what he was waiting for, and he knew that that would be the best place for him to be, because we don't really know a lot about his power. But I am in agreement with you. I feel like he's going to do something to help break the oaths from the other thing, because he's going to see that sacrifice.
Yeah, I agree.
Or he's going to strike another bargain with her.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it going either. I could see it going either way. And then Carrion. Oh my God. I fucking love that kid.
I know.
He he just I what I feel like Kelly did such an incredible job of is creating this cast of characters where you have like there's so much history and sorrow and heartache, and then she brings in Carrion, who just brings this air of like ridiculousness and like 16-year-old horny boy energy. Like that's what he reminds me of. And he is a breath of fresh air throughout the series.
Mm-hmm. Even though
And
he's like
but
200 years old.
he's over a
Oh,
thousand.
he's over 1,000. I just know him. Yeah. He has the
Yeah,
long lost prince of
he
something.
yeah, he is the forgotten king, or no, he's the lost king of Avelia. I think you'll see a big shift in him in book three. I still think he'll be a 16-year-old horny
Oh,
boy,
for
but like
sure.
I think you'll see him the tide start to turn with him because you leave him what's so what's so interesting at the end of book two, you actually leave his character almost the moment he is recognized in the realm as the forgotten or the lost king.
Mm-hmm.
He gets like this fealty
Pledge.
given to him by these satyrs, and then Sarris leaves, and you follow her through the rest of the book. So it'll be interesting to see how Callie picks it up with him, because I could see him like running from this initially, and then at the end of book three, like he has a revelation on like how he's going to rule the kingdom and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because even though he's, snarky, he's always like, shouldn't we be doing this? And everyone's like, how the fuck did he come up with this? Like, why is he
Yeah,
coming up with the
yeah,
ideas? Why didn't we think of this? And then I think his attraction to Dana, or Dame, or whatever her name is hilarious. He's like, I like that she's snarky. It makes my cock hard. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he's like, I like when somebody's mean to me.
yeah. Which is probably why he had a
Oh,
crush on
Carrion.
OSHA to begin with.
Varys. Yeah, for sure. I would say the only character, and now that we're talking about it, the only character that like it. I mean, is it so bad if he dies? Would be Hayden. I am
Oh,
so
her brother is an
over
asshole.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how his role develops in book three, because fuck him so hard.
The fact that he even thought or believed that shit about his own sister,
Yeah.
whether she kept secrets
Yeah.
from you or not, the fact that you could think that.
Yeah. Not a fan. Not
Yeah.
a fan. But everybody else, it is amazing. And
For a while there, I thought her vampire maker, I was suspicious of him. I'm like, he's up to something. I don't know what it is, but he's up to something. And the fact that he tried to kill himself by reverting or not doing the spell or whatever, dickwad. I don't really care for Kingfisher's sister either, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know she was the carrier of the message, but I just feel like she's
I think Adina channeled her.
oh.
I don't think it was a hidden. I think
It was
Adina actually channeled her because Adina's spirit has remained in the realm this entire time.
yeah, but I thought it was like in Everlyn or maybe in her earrings or in something. Like there was a piece of her soul or something.
Yeah, something. I don't
I don't
remember.
know. But I just yeah. I think the siblings kind of irritate me.
Yeah,
I was excited that the book 2 ended with dragons though. I mean,
I'm interested to see how that plays out because I would love for it to be more along the lines of like they get a dragon versus they kill a dragon.
yeah, no, I'm going to be very upset if they kill any dragons, but I don't think that they are. I'm
Yeah,
hopeful they're not.
yeah.
I'm hopeful that they're not. I really loved Kingfisher's accepts. I loved Kingfisher's acceptance of OSHA, even though he was kind of a hard ass at her at the beginning. I love their banter. I love that he doesn't. I just love everything about Kingfisher. I think the audiobook played a pivotal role in me enjoying this series way more than I probably would have if I read it. I think I would have still enjoyed it if I had read it, but the audio just took it to the next level.
Yeah, it was a good audio. I will say it took me a minute to get into the audio or not get into it. So that Anthony Palmini, I think it's Anthony Palmini. He also voiced Rip in the Plated Prisoner series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So for like probably a good bit of book one, I was like, oh my God, this isn't Slade. This isn't Slade. This isn't Slade. Still isn't Slade. So like it took me a minute to like get with it being Kingfisher because his I'd listened to 6 books of his voice with it being.
Slade
Mhm.
or Rip or whatever you want to call him.
He has so many names.
He does. It's confusing as fuck. It really is. I didn't know that though, but yeah, I think all the things that you said about OSHA is what made me love it, and the fact that Kingfisher is this, and I feel like he is the when we talk morally gray or bad boy or whatever, I feel like he embodies that very well. But I feel like he's one of the first of I will sacrifice my people. I will sacrifice my realm because I've made her this promise or I'm going to do this thing. Like when he has to go back to get her brother. He's like, have you ever made her a promise that you weren't going to keep? He's like, I will kill you where you stand to do what needs to be done for her. And I feel like that's always hinted or it's kind of like it's an inference when you read a lot of things. I feel like this is kind of like the first time that I don't know that Kingfisher just did it really well and he blatantly said it out loud. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't no secret. He's like, "No, I will kill you for her if she tells you. And the only reason why I'm not killing you is because she just asked me not to. So you're lucky that she's
yeah,
here." Okay. like like she is like the quote said like she is his conscience. She is like the sail that's going to guide him through the storm or like whatever. And I think that was another reason why I just loved him and this series so much is because he doesn't hide from that. He like owns it.
yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to give this example of Patricia Briggs Mercedes Thompson series. So I love Meet Mercy and Adam. I really do. But my problem with them is I know that they would sacrifice their love to save other people. And that I don't know, that's just I feel like that's very selfish of them to do that. Versus, I feel like Kingfisher and Osha, they would sacrifice everybody else before they sacrifice their love. Or at least Kingfisher will. Maybe not Osha. It depends. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I just, as somebody who reads a lot of dark romance, like I feel like this has been one that has, and I'm not saying that others like the mafia and stuff like that, like obviously they do that, but I don't think it's like explicitly said. I don't think a main male character has as explicitly said, you know, to somebody that they care about or whatever, is like, I will kill you for her. Like, don't, what are you doing? What makes you think that I'm not? You know? I don't know. Maybe I made it all up in my head, but that's how I feel.
No, I think that's accurate. I think I think Slade is probably the only other male character that would sacrifice his people in Realm to save Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
I can't I can't think of any other main male character that would do the same.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I'm thinking Bridge Kingdom, Aaron wouldn't do that.
No, Aaron wouldn't.
Now, I'm not saying that he wouldn't kill for her. He would, but he would not. They have a limit, and I feel like Kingfisher doesn't have a limit or a boundary. Everybody else has a
Yeah.
limit or a boundary. We will only go so far. You know, I'm
Yeah.
thinking bonds that tie. Like, Knox might be the only one who would be like, I'll kill anybody you want for you. But the other ones, they're like,
Yeah.
they, even though there's still like this greater good or this, you know, sacrifice one to save many kind of thing. And I just don't get that. I just don't get that from him. And I think that's why I love him so much.
Yeah. Agreed.
So how do you feel about, I know we've talked about you've been putting fantasy off and this is kind of like, it's been a couple of years and now you're kind of like coming back into it. How do you feel?
I feel like this was probably a good duet to read first. It's I guess it feels high stakes without having like there really hasn't been a lot of like heart-wrenching, heartbreaking moments. Like obviously the trauma that Fisher has gone through, the trauma that Sarris has gone through, like all of that is really sad. But I mean, honestly, the hardest part was losing Onyx. And I didn't even I didn't even like get upset the way I normally would because I had a feeling that she was gonna do something to save him. But then once she did, like that was the only decision I was like, I don't know how that's gonna play out. So I mean, I have thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. I like the way that magic works. Um, I like that she is continuing to gain strength and like develop her skills in between things. Yeah, I think it's really, really well done without being, you know, like I was able to live my life and like the emotions of the book weren't like hating me.
Hmm. And it helps that it's only going to be a trilogy. Thank the Lord.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think yeah, I like trilogies or duets even. Like we can get a really good story in 2 to 3, between 400 and 600 pages. I'm just yeah, that's I guess all I got.
Okay. Are we ready to rate?
Yeah, I think so.
Darkness. 2.
Maybe, possibly.
I mean, they're Fae, they're at war. I don't really think there's a lot of
Yeah, 2.
2. Okay. Spicy.
Right?
I can go with a 3. I'm trying to remember and I can't remember. There's like 4 or 5. I mean, I don't know. I I'm gonna I'm gonna go with your judgment because I don't remember the scenes, but I just remember loving their chemistry, and so I think that makes me want to give them a higher rating for the spicy than what it probably really is. So 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the tension was well done. I think the scenes were well done. Brimstone had probably one more scene than it really needed, but like it's not particularly kinky or anything like that. So I think a 3 would be solid.
Okay. Content?
5. I think everything so far has tied in really, really well. I like the way she's writing the characters. I like the way the characters are developing. There isn't any, I mean, for me, like there's no big question mark on how anything connects.
Mhm.
And I think that's really, really important.
I agree. I was gonna give it a 5 too. I think that, like you said, I didn't hate anything about the storyline. There was nothing that I couldn't follow. Everything is either making connections as we're going through. I love how we're learning about this world and everything as she learns. The magic, the characters, like I feel like there hasn't been a single thing besides her being a vampire that I have not liked. That's the only thing, but that's only because I don't like vampires. So I will give it a 5. And then stars.
I mean, I think it's, I mean, I'm liberal with my 5 stars, but I could see myself rereading this. Like I would possibly reread it before the third book comes out. So I think it's a 5 stars for both.
It's a 5-star for me too.
Oh my God, I think this is like the first set of books we've ever agreed this much on.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there was just I understand like why you weren't pulled in at the very beginning, but I was sucked into this story so quickly
Yeah,
and the world and then how again it's I know I say this a lot, but like for creating this fantasy world, she does it in such a simplistic way to where it doesn't take away from the story. And I feel like that's important when building fantasy because sometimes you can get so boggled down into the magic and the world building that it kind of like pulls you out. And I don't feel like she does that at all. And so
yeah,
I devoured both of these books listening to them, I think like over 4 days. It was at least a week, if not less. But I want to say it was like I started like a Thursday or Friday and I was done by like that Sunday or Monday listening to both of
yeah,
them. So yeah. I love everything about these 2 books. And I'm satisfied, like I said at the beginning. Like I felt like the cliffhangers, they weren't really cliffhangers. I could have been satisfied with just ending how they did it in book 1. And the same thing with book 2. I would be satisfied. Obviously there are questions that still need to be answered and obviously we want to see how it goes, through and like all that. But if something ever if it never came out, I would still be okay listening to these books again and again. Not something like,
yeah,
other series, but I love it so much.
yeah. Agreed.
So much. I'm so excited. Now we get to do all the other episodes that that I want to do now that Kingfisher's on the list, okay? Probably a horrible thing to say, but it just makes my heart happy.
Ready to close?
Yes, it's all you, my love.
Great, you all. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Let us know, have you read Quicksilver and Brimstone by Callie Hart? Tag us on Instagram at the story, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the journey into the shadows of love, where dark romance stories come to light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bones of the Story as much as we did. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us.
And to stay updated on all things dark romance, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, or even your own dark romance stories with us. Drop us a line at bonesofthestory@gmail.com.
Remember, our next tantalizing episode is just around the corner, so keep your hearts open and your senses sharp.
Until then, embrace the darkness and let the stories continue to stir your deepest desires.
This is Misty
And Jen,
signing off
from Bones of the Story.